Hi folks, this is Studio 3A. I'm Rory Atwood, joined by my best friend in the entire world, Anna Bundy Hagler. I had to say your name slower that time, so I got it right.
I'm really impressed by so many things. That's like the most gracious intro I've ever gotten.
I was being hyperbolic.
That's fair.
I have better friends than you. Sorry to be honest, but...
I appreciate honesty.
Do you have better friends than me, or am I your best friend?
Yeah, I got better friends than you.
Wow.
You're probably like in the top 10 though right now.
That's fair. So today we're talking about joy. Things that make us happy.
Yes.
Each other.
Yeah, obviously. This
right?
space.
This space.
My tea.
You don't need to keep listing things.
Okay. Oh.
So we each took a trip to a place that made us happy.
Oh my God.
And we had to guess. The other person had to guess where we were going.
Yes, I would like to note that we were supposed to be blindfolded, but both of us get car sick, so the blindfold didn't even make an appearance.
Blindfold did not work. One of us was much better at this game than the other.
Who would it have
let
been?
the viewers guess which one was which.
Yeah.
But we're going to start off with you taking me to one of your favorite places that bring you joy.
It's going to be great. I can't wait.
It's going to be so great.
Yeah. Let's roll it.
Roll the tape.
So this is confusing because I said this is their temporary location, not their permanent location, because they're doing some renovations and potentially moving. Anyway, I love quilting. And nobody told me when you start a hobby that like your hobby has many hobbies. So like quilting is a hobby, but like buying fabric's a hobby, looking at fabric's a hobby, like sewing the fabric's a hobby, organizing the fabric's a hobby. So like this place brings me great joy. I love it so much. Gonna go in?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
Up.
Oh look, they said made in Texas. They're little
Oh, you
labels to
need
put on.
that.
I know. Did you know fabric could look like all of these?
Yes.
Okay,
I
I
mean,
didn't know.
you look.
You don't sew,
I wear.
I know.
I typically wear patterned things. I like patterns. I just like all the colors.
These are called jelly rolls, which is really confusing because accidentally I went to go see Shinedown and Jelly Roll was playing, and so I googled jelly rolls, but because I'm a quilter, these came up. Not
So
Jelly Roll, the
confusing.
musician. Yeah. And then
You wouldn't be a good doctor.
Fabric that's been talking.
Every month we give out a free sticker. So that's for this one.
I love it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, people love stickers.
I'm not going to lie. It's pretty comical that you weren't even close to guessing what my favorite place would be. Like, you didn't, there was not an ounce of thought behind those eyes that day.
There was a lot of thought, excuse me. Deeply offended. And we filmed that a couple days ago.
Yes.
I'm still disappointed with myself.
I'm sorry. I don't need to load onto that. Like, you can be disappointed.
Yeah, you're
it's
just
fine.
piling onto my thing.
I'm going to stop now. But it was great. If you love fabric of any kind, if you're going to take a garment class like Roy would like somebody to make him shirts,
Yeah.
Urban Spools is like the place to go.
Why does it bring you so much joy?
Well, I just think like I've always wanted to like unleash this like creative side of me because I believe that we are all creative, but like I'm horrible at drawing. I'm horrible at painting.
Mm-hmm.
I can take very average iPhone pictures. I can like kind of arrange a Trader Joe's like floral bouquet.
Mm-hmm.
But like I started sewing 3 years ago and it just like unlocked this piece of me that I didn't even know existed.
I was going to say, because it's a recent discovery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like now, like I have like friends that are quilters. I've like talked friends into starting quilting. I like get to buy fabric for friends. And like, it's this weird thing where like fabric speaks to me. And so like, it just brings me so much joy.
I like you brought the communal into it.
Yeah.
Like, you could view quilting as a solitary hobby, but
Yes.
part of what brings you joy is the community that you found from it.
Literally. You mean I made friends that I only have to talk about quilting with?
Yeah.
Like that's it. It's beautiful.
So maybe one of the ways people can find joy is by just taking a hobby and finding the community in that.
Wow. That's insightful.
Like I
think that's
I
probably
play
true.
fantasy baseball with some of my best friends from undergrad and
Right.
People we've met along the way,
Yeah.
brothers and brothers' friends and things like that. And we
Yeah.
just like talking about baseball.
Yeah.
And so we have that in common that we get to
Yeah.
share that.
I love the community piece.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've kind of captured mine.
Yeah.
So I just would like to say, what is unbiasedly? What is the word?
I don't know where you're going.
Anyway, I'm very good at this game that we were playing.
I don't think that's an unbiased opinion.
I know. I was trying to think of a word that totally
opinion
just
of yourself.
We'll
let the viewers judge how good you are.
Okay, great. Let's roll that one.
If I hadn't have guessed it before, I know now.
We're at my apartment.
Yeah!
It's my happy place.
Okay, let's go inside.
Let's do it.
So here we are at my apartment complex. It's really nice. It's slightly outside of my budget.
That's on them, though, because it went up.
Yeah, that's on them. They should just make it cheaper for me.
You lost that battle, which is why it's now.
Yeah, and it has pools, it has a gym, and I'm a homebody. I like being at home. So let's go check it out. Hey MTV, welcome to my crib. Was that cool enough for you? Look who it is. It's a girly girl. It's a girly girl. Okay, let's watch Anna be attacked by a pit bull.
Hi, girlfriend. Hi.
Settle.
Does Jacob also feel that way, or would Jacob like to go places?
He likes going places more often than I do. But he also likes being at home with the daughter.
What a good girl.
Jacob really likes the aesthetic of plants after they die. And so when people get us flowers, we keep them because we think it looks... I love limes. I just love them. That's why I keep a bowl full of them.
Okay. This is it. This brings you the most joy.
Yeah. Mostly a girly girl. She actually knows that girly girl is her name.
One, it's always a good day when I see Annie Girl.
She was better behaved this time than the last time that you saw her.
Meeting new people is wild, but she was a good girl.
Speaking of joy, she loves people.
Yeah.
And just wants to tackle you with love.
With love. It really is a real loving
Yes,
vibe.
she wants to jump on you and lick you. And the problem is she's 63 pounds of absolute muscle.
That girl's strong.
Yeah.
I have a dog that weighs 65 pounds, and it's not in the same manner.
No. I refer to walking her as like riding, like water skiing.
Yeah.
You just hold it out in front and hope for the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great for you.
That's how strong she is.
Yeah, I believe it.
All she eats is peanut butter, protein, and she pulls my 200-pound ass around the block.
Yeah.
Resistance training. She's basically doing like what a weightlifter would do. And she's pure muscle.
Good. Yeah.
So she brings me a lot of joy.
Yeah, but like being at home brings you a lot of joy.
Well, it was interesting reflecting back on the trip. I went to our apartment because being at home and being in that safe space and just sitting on the couch and watching the things that I like to watch, I really like, I watch a ton of TV and movies.
You play fantasy baseball at home.
It's
Do you
mostly
play
on mic.
fantasy
No,
baseball?
you just kind of watch it on your phone.
Okay, thank you.
But so I went there for that like safety comfort reason. But when I realized what we were filming is like also Annie was there. She brings me a ton of joy, even though she drives me absolutely insane between the hours of 6 and 9 p.m.
Yeah,
but the other hours, she's an absolute saint.
Yeah.
And then you focused a lot on like the posters and concert stuff that we have on the wall that I didn't even think about. Like, that brings us a lot of joy is these unique events that we like to go to. And we like to use our money to make memories. Yeah. So we capture those in the posters and the playbills. We both, Jacob and I both keep all of our playbills from the shows in New York that we see. And so we have those little mementos of like, yes, home makes us happy, but also going out and making memories and going to unique events also make us really happy. So there was a kind of a yin yang to it.
Well, there's like this like joy of like keeping artifacts in your home that like represent who you are, right?
Yeah.
And so like I have little golden bunnies sitting around my house. I have a lot of them because my grandma loves bunnies. Mm-hmm. They like used to call her Gray Bunny. And so like I have these little gold bunnies around my house like that remind me of my grandma. And I just think like there's so much in our lives that can fill us with joy. It can be a hobby. It can be going to do something. It can be sitting at home with our roommates or our partners or our spouses or whatever. It can be our dogs. And like, I just hope that this episode reminds our friends, like that you can find joy almost anywhere. I'd love to know where you're finding joy right now. And I'd also love to know like an artifact in their home that like brings them joy or reminds them.
Yeah.
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 So
okay.
Now we're going to do a poem.
Yeah.
Mitchell's going to talk to us about joy.
Yes.
And then we're going to come back and maybe critique. Maybe Mitchell was good, maybe it was bad. We'll just have to watch and
keep you on
out.
your toes this week.
Yeah, exactly. Don't Hesitate by Mary Oliver. If you suddenly and unexpectedly feel joy, don't hesitate. Give in to it. There are plenty of lives and whole towns destroyed or about to be. We are not wise and not very often kind, and much can never be redeemed. Still, life has some possibility left. Perhaps this is its way of fighting back, that sometimes something happens better than all the riches or power in the world. It could be anything, but very likely you notice it in the instant when love begins. Anyway, that's often the case. Anyway, whatever it is, don't be afraid of its plenty. Joy is not made to be a crumb.
So over the past few weeks, we've been, really wrestling with and pondering words that I think have like pretty good definitions. They're anchored in to our everyday experience. We can, make sense of them, like belonging. That makes sense. Purpose. We all need purpose. Justice, right? I think that makes sense. But joy is like, it is hard to define. And I think it's hard to define because we experience it in a variety of ways, in a variety of settings. Like, for example, when everything's going right in my life. Now, I'm 39, so I wouldn't have ever thought this when I was young. But now, everything going right looks like this, right? Like, the kids are good and behaving and doing well in school. My relationship with my wife's good, work's good, productive, but not overly stressful. My, yards mowed, things are all sort of buttoned up and put together. It feels like you've got this nice balance between what you have to do and what you can do. And even when it feels like everything's in its right place, there are these moments where I am just not happy. I feel unsettled or anxious and kind of wondering, like, what's up with that? Like, why can't I feel more at peace? When I was 29, it probably looked a little different. It was right out of college. Maybe it looked like the perfect balance between having something to do and having freedom. And maybe it was confidence in my dating relationships and contentment when I was single, right? But I remember even when I was in my early 20s, there would be these moments where everything seemed like it should be good, and I was still unhappy or worried. And then there are those moments when things are like a dumpster fire, right? We all have our personal dumpster fire, so I'm not going to tell you what that looks like in my life, but you just picture your life as a dumpster fire, and yet even in the midst of that, you're feeling at peace or feeling a sense of accomplishment or feeling happy. I think this notion of joy showing up when it should and being absent from us when things are going poorly, like, it just doesn't jive. Like, joy is far more elusive than that, which I think is stressful because we all want to flourish. I think we all want to have this life where it doesn't feel so hard. We stumble upon happiness. And so I've been thinking about joy a lot and how we experience it. I've been thinking about it in terms of my own life, but also in the life of the congregation that I serve. And I've come to the realization that, yes, joy is elusive. But I think we can start to define it. And if we start to define it, maybe it start to show up in our lives. And so I want us to think about joy as being the embodiment of a feeling, maybe a feeling like we're light on our feet. Matthew Quan Johnson, who's this great, he's awesome. He is this great research fellow at the Oxford University, that big one, and his work is specifically at the intersection of like cognitive research and philosophy and theology, and he does a lot of work around joy. And he says joy is this state of positive effect in which one experiences feelings of freedom and safety and ease. So as we think about joy, I want us to sort of shift the question and begin to not ask how do we know it when we see it, but begin to sort of think about how can we cultivate it in our life. And how can we bring joy into circumstances when it's clearly not present in our reality? And I'm not sure that I actually know that much about joy, because there are days where I feel joyful and I have no reason to be joyful. And there are days when I expect to feel joy and it is just not present in my life. So I am not an expert, but I have found that joy starts with appreciating God's abundant love and grace, right? That God is just all out on loving creation and us, and specifically you. But I also think that maybe we don't feel joy as much as we practice joy. Maybe it's not like an emotion that we experience, but something that we do. And if that's the case, if joy is really about something we do and not something that we just feel, I think that changes everything, right? Because even if we don't feel it, we can lean into it. And as joy being a response to God's abundance and a practice of our faith, it then ultimately becomes a choice that you and I and really all of us, we get to make each and every day. And I know that sounds kind of hokey and cheesy, but hear me out. Like each morning when we get up, we get to choose how we're going to show up in the world. Now, sometimes that's easier or harder depending on what we have going on in our life, but each and every day, we get to choose how we're going to interact with others, what we're going to prioritize, how we're going to show up in a meeting or in a class. Like, we have the ability to choose. And so choosing joy looks like choosing kindness for just kindness' sake. It looks like smiling on purpose, celebrating often, and toasting the random good things that happen in the day. Choosing joy looks like being intentional in our gratitude. And if you have some sort of spiritual practice, choosing joy looks like being thankful before we do anything else. And that, my dear friends, is really great news. Because as we continue to ponder joy and examine joy in our own life, I'm going to just encourage you to lean into this idea that joy is simply a practice. It's something that we can do. And if it is something that we can do, it is something that we have some control over. And if we have control over it, that means that it can be present regardless of what externally is happening in our lives, regardless of how our days or weeks or months are unfolding. We can actually experience joy when things are going poorly and when things are going really, really well. If we can practice joy, then we can cultivate it not only in our own lives, but in the lives of others. And that, I think, is really, really good news because, yes, the world is hard. And suffering unfortunately is part of it. There's no escaping suffering, but we are not meant to endure life. We are created to enjoy life. And that starts with how we choose to show up each and every day.
I like what Mitchell said about this idea that joy is a practice that you have to strive for.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people, I don't want to subtweet anyone, but I'm not subtweeting you.
Will you write it down?
No, I'm
Or are
not
you
going to write it down.
subtweeting? Okay,
I'm not
keep
subtweeting
going.
anyone. I just think some people feel like they have to like wait around for good things to happen.
Do you know somebody like that in your life? Because I
No.
just listed off 4.
I'm not subtweeting anyone.
Okay.
And so it's this idea of like, well, I can't be happy until good things happen.
Right.
And maybe that's true for happiness and not for joy, but
Yeah.
or I don't know if maybe we're drawing a distinction without a difference, whatever. But I do think that joy is something that you work towards. That
Yeah.
you can be in an absolutely shitty situation, as Mitchell said, and still be a joyful person.
Yeah. It reminds me, like, one of my favorite teachers is Suzanne Stabile, and she teaches a lot about how, like, you're either a victor or a victim, and, like, victors are gonna, like conquer their circumstances. They're gonna, it's not always gonna be great, but, like, they're looking for that next best thing, and victims are the ones who generally, like, tend to sit around and, like, be like, why does this always happen to me? Or, like, you know, like, I can't find any other pattern that's different in life and that kind of thing. And I think a lot about that because, like, some of the most resilient people I know are, like, victors, and they just, like, happen to find joy a lot.
Yeah. Does
Like-
she talk about how to get from victim to victor?
Yeah, some of it's just, like, owning. She calls it, like, owning the stuff that's on your side of the fence.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of victims, like, blame other people or are, like, looking for places to put blame and things of that nature. And, like, if you would just own your own stuff.
Yeah.
Like, some people are always going to disappoint you, or people aren't going to live up to your expectations. But, like, if you would just do your own stuff, you could probably bridge that gap.
Because everyone has terrible things that happen to them. And everyone's going to go through periods where it's like, well, it makes sense that you're not happy. Like,
and that's okay.
you had
like,
someone who died, or you just lost your job, or like there are things that happen
yeah, you got to
that you're
diagnose
not going to be happy.
Right.
But there are other times where you haven't had that acute event where it's just like the shit of life.
Right.
And I think that everyone can be happy through those circumstances. Some people are naturally more resilient to it than others, but I think that everyone can be.
Yeah. I wouldn't say happy. I know what you mean, though. Like,
I know.
To find joy. Yeah. I've been thinking a lot about the thing that you said in the last episode or two. Like, somebody growing up, I can't remember even what you said specifically, but it was about, like, parents tell their kids to be happy, and it's like that's actually really hard.
Yes.
So now I'm stuck on this word happy, which y'all don't need to watch us work out, but like you just did it, right? Like,
I know
that people can be happy, but I do think Mitchell's right that people can find joy.
Yes.
So, like,
I always say it's too much to ask to be happy, but you can ask to be content.
Yeah, and I think joy's kind of a part of being content. It reminds you that the low lows and the high highs kind of somewhere meet in the middle.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll be thinking about this a lot this week. For those that are watching online, I'd love to know if you've ever thought about joy like this.
Yes.
If you are also unhappy with the way that we're using the word happy right now.
Yeah. Is there a distinction between joy and happy, or is it just like a Christian thing that people do to be like, well, technically they're different?
Yeah, we didn't even get into that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're actually going to take a few week break after this episode.
Yes.
We're going to come...
20 episodes.
Woo!
So we're very proud of ourselves. That's
about,
practicing joy, being proud of yourself.
Yes, we talked about letting confetti fall down, and it's not.
No.
So that sucks.
Or balloons.
Yeah.
We had
balloons.
almost as many balloons as the DNC. Then I would have been happy.
Okay, well, we can work on that.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to take a few weeks off. We hope that you'll come back on September 24th for a little change in the show. We'd love to hear your feedback. I think it's going to be a good move.
Yeah, what do you like? What do you not like about the show? What should we keep? What should we change?
Yeah.
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 We might listen to it. We might ignore it.
But we will see you in a few weeks.
Yes, that we will.